Welcome back to Bat Fridays here on One Comic Book a Day, where we're covering the second story in Batman issue 20, The Trial of Titus Keyes. Kept wanting to say Royce Keyes. If you get that, you get that. Bill Finger is trying something a little different here. He is telling us the events of this comic through a trial, jumping back in a flashback to get across the crime. But it's overly expository that it becomes a slog to get through, especially seeing that they're trying to set up the crime. And I know I talk a lot about liking setup, especially spending half the story building up to the crime and then dealing with the crime, or setting up the problem, solve the problem. I feel like it doesn't quite introduce the problem well. I think it would have been cleaner quicker. We know there is this trial just from the title and the fact we open in the courtroom around Titus Keyes, who seems to be kind of a nebbish guy. It's sort of unexpected that he is a criminal, though he is a criminal. Let's get that out straight. He is a criminal. There's a reason they think he did it. But when they start explaining the crimes, it takes till like page 7 of this, 10 to 12 page comic to get to how Titus is involved. With how overwritten it is, with action that's not particularly interesting because you're just kind of jumping in on Batman showing up. In fact, I had trouble getting images for this because a lot of it is just people standing around talking to each other. And finally, Batman shows up in a flashback to punch somebody. It doesn't necessarily need to be, an action panel to show you, but none of it really established what was going on. None of it was particularly interesting to look at. I get what they're going for. This isn't a new idea. This is the first time it's shown up in a Batman story where they're explaining everything from the set of a courtroom. I just don't think it works very well, especially the fact that we don't have a central figure to follow. It's kind of all over the place. This is why I think it would have been cleaner if we had known a little bit more about Titus, or how Titus was involved in this, to sort of get across what is being set up as a mystery, as in what did Titus do. They've set it up enough that, he's a nebbish man, and it doesn't seem like he's the type of guy to pull off any crime. It also doesn't help, the crimes don't fit quite well. So you have a bunch of criminals stealing from safes from a jewelry store. All the safes different, which is apparently a surprise to the chief inspector, the chief detective on this case. But then it deals with stealing gold from a sunken vessel. And I somehow thought those two things were or the first crime was building up to the second crime, but they're just two separate crimes by the same group. It feels almost random how they talk about it, because it feels like this was something that they were setting up, but no, they just know that's the next crime they're heading for. There isn't a good connection there other than what we end up learning about the safes. Until we find out Titus has a criminal backstory and he is a safe maker. He engineered all these safes. So that seems to cast doubt on him. And also it turns out that he has evidence in his place. Helped by the story told by Commissioner Gordon when he's on the stand, which I don't know if you called the commissioner of the police to the stand, other than he was dealing with Batman. You see how this is not all that interesting? They robbed a jewelry store, robbed a sunken vessel. Sort of. I guess they scavenged a sunken vessel. I don't know maritime law well enough to know if something is sunk for a specific amount of time and you find it, do you owe it back to someone? You probably do. It's a lot of gold, by the way. Also, there is actually an interesting moment in this. They both have sort of a diving bell submersible that has little arms. So the criminals and Batman's vessel fight each other, though you can't really tell who's who in several of the panels. So there's a clarity problem. Eventually, we do get Batman involved here when he just reveals who's really the guy when he shows up into the courtroom. Luckily, that criminal is there. Turns out it was the roommate, as in cellmate, of the locksmith. And locksmith carried a cheat sheet that told him all the combinations in case someone, one of the owners of the safe, lost their combination, so it can be easy for him just to call him and get him in there. But that solved everything. That's really the solution. It's that disappointing. But the ending goes a bit crazy, as immediately the jury renders a verdict, which is not how courts work. They don't immediately give this verdict. At best, the judge needs to say something. And everybody puts Batman and Robin on their shoulders. Robin's been here. Hasn't done much, but he's been here as they like celebrate him hip hip hooray style in the courtroom, like a ridiculous cartoon ending, and the judge just kind of gives up. I kind of like that. This has more energy in it than anything that has happened in this comic up to that point. It's kind of wild. Okay, that is it from Batman issue 20, The Trial of Titus Keyes. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe. Hit the bell icon to get notifications when new videos up. I do this Monday through Friday, but Mondays and Thursdays I cover a Superman story or a Superboy story in their own comics, which is currently 4, until we are getting back to 1955 or 6, where I left off in Superman. We'll be jumping between all 4 of them. We're getting closer. Please join us next time. Same Bat Day, same comic book channel. Have a great day.